I'm Mark Clem for Corrigan Sports and the Frederick Foot and Ankle Frederick Running Festival. We're here with Matt Ginalick today, and Matt Ginalick is kind of an interesting person. He's been a longtime runner of the Frederick Foot and Ankle Frederick Running Festival, and also the past few years has helped out as a volunteer with his swim team and all that. And we always like to try to find interesting angles, interesting situations with the folks who make up the Frederick Foot and Ankle Running Festival. And it appears that Matt's got a pretty interesting story. Matt is a half marathoner. He's also run in our other races, the Baltimore Marathon and some other races of Corrigan Sports. But he's been a staple in Frederick. And this year, not only is Matt going to run the Frederick Half Marathon, he's got another project coming up at the within the next several weeks where he's going to run 13 half marathons in 13 days in each of the 13 colonies. The magic number is 13. And Matt, how did that happen, and where did you get the idea, and why?
So I started out watching this documentary about the Iron Cowboy, this guy named James Lawrence. He did 50-50-50. So he did 50 Ironmen in 50 days in all 50 U.S. states. And effectively at the end of that whole documentary, he challenged people to do something challenging within themselves. So I've done, 40 half marathon races or so. So this was a challenge to me. So I figured, what can I do? I feel comfortable in half marathons. So I was like, what can I do that's 13? And so 13 colonies popped in my head. And so that's how this all kind of started last year in about July timeframe. So been training ever since, trying to ramp up the miles in anticipation of this one-of-a-kind race that I'm doing on my own.
So basically last July, when the pandemic was in full force, we didn't have anything else to do, so you decided to create a race for yourselves. Folks, there's no medals, no t-shirts, no finishing line tape, no celebration village. It's run across a mark that says 13 miles, get in the car and drive to another state.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, the 13 Rigid Colonies, we're starting up in New Hampshire at Lake Winnipesaukee, then going to Boston, Massachusetts, and then Providence, Rhode Island, then Mystic, Connecticut. Did some work up there for years, so little homecoming there for some stuff there. Central Park in New York, then Cape May, New Jersey, Rehoboth, Delaware, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then back here to run virtually at the Frederick half, that course, that route, and then down to Williamsburg, VA, and then to Raleigh, North Carolina, then Charleston, South Carolina, and then finally finishing up in Savannah, Georgia.
Well, it appears that you're staying on the coast. You're going to see some water, and you're not going to be inland the whole time. And how did you pick these courses and figure out where you wanted to start and where you wanted to finish and where in the state you wanted to run?
Well, New Hampshire, I ran a half Ironman years ago in 2008 there called the Timberman. So that's in Lake Winnipesaukee. That is kind of reminiscent for me, so I wanted to go back up there and kind of replicate part of that race. And then looked at kind of some historical venues, cities that have some historical significance to the colonies. So thinking the seaboard, because that was basically where all that stuff was, and easy access for transitioning in between states, that I'm not having to drive hours upon hours to get to those next states.
Again, I'm Mark Clem for Corrigan Sports and the Frederick Foot and Ankle Frederick Running Festival. And, Matt, you're not doing this solo, right? You're not going to run, jump in the car, eat some bananas on the way to the next run, and then what's the logistics and how many people support group do you have to do this 13, 13, and 13?
Well, I'm the only one that's going to be running 13, 13, 13, but certainly my wife and daughter are going to be going with us, and then we have another friend of ours that will be doing a lot of driving, so we're going to make it a little bit of adventure, try to have a little bit of vacation fun in there. I don't know how much vacation fun I'm going to have with my legs, but we'll try to do some fun things in the city and try to see some of that historical significance as we go along.
Now, how strategic do you have to plan out like your meals? It's hard to eat healthy on the road anyway, and when you get in the car, the last thing you want, I think, is something from a fast food restaurant, but that's probably the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, that's some of the logistics we're still trying to figure out. Thankfully, it appears that I'll have at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 families or friends, relatives that we can stay in along the trip. So that'll make things a little bit better. We were discussing this morning how difficult eating's going to be. So, trying to pack coolers, trying to do some things that'll be a little bit better so we're not having to resort into fast food and try to pick some healthier options.
Now, is your family / support group going to drive along with you, or they'll say, Matt, call me when you're done, we'll pick you up?
I think it's a little bit of both. My wife has talked about trying to do a 5K in every state as well. So we'll see how that works out. Hopefully that she's able to accomplish that as well. But we certainly, I don't anticipate them riding along or doing any kind of heavy support during the run. So it's going to be a lot of self-support for the runs.
That means you have to carry your own water. There's no water stop help. I guess it's similar to the way the races are happening coming out of the pandemic, where you got to carry your own water bottle. Even in the Frederick Running Festival this year, you're going to have to carry your own water bottle.
Yeah, that'll be some good practice. So, I'm starting this toward the end of July. So this race falls about 2.5, 3 weeks out from me starting. So that'll be some good practice, as well as all my training runs, having to carry my own water bottle. Nothing new for runners there.
So I guess it's good that the Frederick Running Festival this year is in the summer when it's going to be hot. That's helping you train for this 13, 13, and 13.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate time of year to do this event, is in the dead of summer, but because of my daughter being in school still and my wife being a teacher, those are the opportune times we have to vacation. So we're just going to try to deal with it and start early in the morning. I'm hoping to start everything no later than 7 a.m. in each day, try to beat the heat of the day.
Again, I'm Mark Clem here with Matt Ginalick, who has the daunting challenge of running 13 half marathons in 13 days in each of the 13 original colonies. And Matt, we wish you good luck on that. Let's transition over to this year's Frederick Foot and Ankle Frederick Running Festival. Still bringing a volunteer group. And just talk about, now you've been a runner in this race. Even though you were my neighbor, we got you in, but you still ran this race. You run the nut job. You run all kind of variations with this race. And talk about, you stepped up a few years ago and brought your swim team to help us in the volunteer group.
Yeah, so with this race, there's more to it than just the actual race day itself. There's a great number of different volunteer groups that help out there, and I've seen a little bit of that over the years. And if you've run the race, you see all kinds of the different groups out there at the water stops and transition areas and all that kind of stuff. So approached you, and we talked about trying to bring one of the teams I'm able to coach at Tuscarora High School swim team. So I brought that group out, 4 or 5 years ago, and we did some bag check for a couple of years. And then we tried to get some more swim teams involved to help do some fundraising for some bigger projects for the swimming community at large for Frederick County.
Well, I can tell you, folks, they started out in bag check. They dabbled a little with packet pickup. And this year, the Tuscarora swim team is going to be one of the main groups there at Packet Pickup. So on June 10th or June 9th, whichever Packet Pickup day you want to come out to the Frederick Running Festival and pick up your packet, you can see Matt there. Wish him good luck on his venture. It seems like the 13 miles in the Frederick Running Festival is going to be nothing compared to what you have in a few weeks after that.
Yeah. So if you do the math, it's 92 miles a week. So it's a bit of a daunting task. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
It's a challenge that I know he can do with. I know he can make it work. I don't know what he may have to take a month off of work when he gets done, but that's another problem we have to worry about. Who cares? Again, folks, the Frederick Running Festival this year is July 10th and 11th. As per normal, it starts and finishes at the Frederick Fairgrounds. We are going to have a celebration village with the bands. We're pretty much back to normal. And just a reminder, it's not too late to sign up if you want to run in the Frederick Running Festival this year. There's plenty of bibs out there for you to have. Just log on to www.frederickrunningfestival.com and we'll get you signed up. Again, I'm Mark Clem for Corrigan Sports and the Frederick Foot and Ankle Frederick Running Festival. Hey, we'll see you out at the race. It's going to be a great weekend. As per normal, it's going to be first class and the premier running event in the city of Frederick. We'll see you there.